Wow. Very, very interesting indeed. I actually didn't see that one coming, to be honest with you. However, let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you a fun fact. I don't think that's the full balance patch, my friends. In fact, I know that isn't the full balance patch because Condi Thief hasn't been touched and neither has Renegade. So, bear that in mind. And yeah, this is more of like almost like a mini covert balance patch, if that makes any sense, right? Like they just kind of drop that bomb super sneaky out of nowhere. But this is actually not going to be the main event. I think the main event will be a little bit later on, potentially over the coming weeks. But yeah, not bad. Wait, you seriously think that's going to be the? You think that's it, Nike? I don't think so, right? There's no way. Yeah, Moda cancelled? No, Moda is not cancelled. Cause is not cancelled. It's fine. Everything is all good, boys. It is all good. So, we'll start at the top. Elementalist. Tornado. Increase the cooldown from 60 seconds to 90 seconds in PvP only. Now, this is obviously a significant change, a significant nerf. And right away, okay, this is one of the reasons why I think that we're going to see more balance changes. Because realistically, nerfing the cooldown of Tornado was not necessarily the problem. Don't get me wrong, the cooldown was too low, but the functionality is the problem. The problem is that if it CCs you, it will CC you again before you recover from the CC. That is to say that when it does a knockback on you, right, before that knockback has run out, you will get knocked back again. That's the problem with this ability, right? And it also does quite a lot of damage. Now, the damage from Lightning Rod has been toned down a little bit. It has. The power coverage is being significantly nerfed. It's about 30%. But around that, like 25, 30%, has been taken down from 1.2 to 0.95 in PvP in World versus World. So Lightning Rod's damage is significantly reduced. That's a pretty significant change. And as a result of that, this is certainly a bit of a bop to the Lightning Rod Weaver build in particular. And Lightning Rod Tempest, which doesn't see as much play as the Weaver build, but it did actually see some play as well. Almost like a hybrid support and damage build as well. You know, it did see a little bit of play. And it was kind of, the interaction between these two abilities was pretty degenerate. Like Lightning Rod and Tornado was pretty disgusting, to be honest, because the Tornado would CC you, then you'd also take massive damage, get weakness. Not good, not good. And on a build that already does quite a lot of damage, and with the lack of stability and stun breaks outside, very hard to actually deal with there. Very, very, very difficult to deal with there. So yeah, these are some good changes, I think. But to be honest, Tornado, it needs to be looked at on a mechanical level, right? Like cooldown isn't really going to fix its issues. It's kind of like one of those things like Rampage, is that it doesn't really matter how the cooldown can be really long and it will still be a problem because of its functionality, rather than how often you can use it, right? Tornado is still going to be really good. It's still going to be really, really good. Like the cooldown being 90 seconds, I don't know, maybe that actually pushes it away from the Weaver build, and you start seeing Weavers go Weave Self instead of Tornado, but I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical on that. I think it's still a really good ability, and it will see play no matter what, because especially with some of the res nerfs as well, like to the Ritual of Life, if you try and res in a Tornado, it ain't going to happen now. It's going to be extremely difficult to pull off. So it's pretty damn good, my friends. Don't know if Weaver badly, trying to see the skill self. Indeed, Blam, indeed. So yeah, Tornado is still super, super good. Good ability for Tempest and Weaver. Expect to see some functionality changes there later on. Now, I do want to touch on something about Weaver as well a little bit. Like, Weaver is very much based around Lightning Rod right now. And it's in a bit of an odd spot, I think. Because maybe it's fine now. Maybe it is fine now, but I don't know. I kind of think that ArenaNet have their eyes on Lightning Rod a little bit more than this, because it's the whole do damage on CC thing. I saw a really interesting idea in a Discord, actually, that Lightning Rod would almost, like, be a delayed action. Almost a bit like, what do you call it? Like the the delayed meme on Pulmonary Impact, right? On Thief, right? So you would get a Lightning Rod, then in a little bit, it would, like, bam, like, Thunderstrike you. So it would be like a delayed thing. You land a CC, then it starts casting a Lightning Bolt on someone, and if they don't dodge it, then they get hit by that. I think that could actually be a pretty interesting thing. You know what? Oh, you know what they could do with this actually as well? And this might be OP actually. They could make it so Lightning Rod was actually AoE, right? So when you disable a target, in a few seconds after, maybe like 1.5 seconds after the CC or something like that, it calls down, pah! A lightning bolt in a very small AoE that does weakness and damage, right? So you could compensate for that, you know, the delay on it by giving it a bonus effect, right, as well, by having just a little bit, just a teeny little AoE, right? A teeny tiny AoE, right there. That might be pretty busted, but I don't know. That will be a good meme, but we'll see. We shall see what happens to Lightning Rod, but I suspect that isn't the final change to Lightning Rod. I'm not sure if ArenaNet really likes it in its current state, but we'll see about that, I suppose. So, moving on to Engineer, and oh dear, it has been it's been a glorious few weeks, I guess, for those people who like to role play as someone who uses a mortar. But yep. Time's up, guys. Prot Hollow is now being dealt with, at least a little bit anyway. Mortar Shot being nerfed, 15% reduction in power scaling. Poison Gas Shell, 50% power scaling. Dude, these scaled 1.0. Ooh, that's good. But now it's 0.5 on the Poison, and on the Endothermic Shell, and on the Flash Shell. Now, if you think about it, this makes perfect sense. And to be honest, I think they're a little generous, like particularly on the blind one. I feel like the blind is still very generous. And in fact, no, wait, I feel like all of these are still pretty generous, actually. At 0.5 power scaling on an AoE poison, an AoE chill, and an AoE blind. That's pretty good still. I mean, it's not nothing. And with these are very powerful effects, right? Like pulsing blind is really good, chill is really good, poison is really good. This is still fairly generous. On some of these abilities. So, I don't know, it's certainly not the end of the world. And the trouble is with NG kind of struggles with elite skills right now. Like, until you see stuff like Prime Light Beam get adjusted to be a significantly more powerful ability, you're still going to see this sort of stuff used. And just in general, Mortar Kit has the kind of correct toolkit for Prot Hollow. It has these kind of kite potential abilities with the chill, the blind, right? And of course, the really long range damage. It allows Prot Hollow to do its job well. So Mortar is still good, I think. It was pretty damn ridiculous. Right? The amount of damage it did was too high, and that has now been reduced. So a very good change there. But this is a bit of a wallop right here, guys. Hard Light Arena cooldown from 30 seconds to 50 seconds in PvP only. Ooh, that is a bit of a oof right there, because this is of course. So for those who don't know, Prot Hollow is a type of Hollowsmith that essentially, whenever you gain protection, you lose a condition, right? And on some variants, you'll even convert that condition into a boon. Now, Hard Light Arena pulses protection, AoE, right? And this means that you can master really nice AoE cleanse while you're in this AoE, and get loads of boons too. You get some protection. You get Fury, you get, you think you get Regen as well. So yeah, loads of good boons coming out of Hard Light Arena, and massive cooldown increase, nearly doubling it. That's certainly going to tone down the sustain of this build for sure, significantly. That's a significant change, definitely, for PvP only. And yeah, this is not really the end of the world for Hollow, because you do have to bear in mind, like, Prot Hollow was a very, very strong build. It was kind of one of those side nodes that you go like, oh, this could take a while to kill. This could, if we 2v1 this is going to be it's going to be a long night to get the job done. And in general, you're seeing a lot of changes there. You're going to see that Necro, the death magic meme, is going to get reduced here a little bit. And of course, on Ranger, the Bunker Ranger build is going to be toned down. So we see a few passes. So Emergency Elixir is one of the passives that Hollow also has. That's having a cooldown increase. And Transmute, this was like, it's like a passive Condi Cleanse thingy. It converts it into boons when you get a certain number of conditions, both going up to 100 seconds. And this is why we need these big balance patches. What are you noticing here, guys? It's a lot of numbers, and that's good, right? I tip my hat to CMC. This is really good stuff. However, you can kind of see the cracks in this approach here. These traits are essentially getting soft removed from the game, right? When you say, oh yeah, you've got a passive that you can't really control, it now has a 100-second cooldown. That's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's not good. What needs to be happening here is that you need to see some of this stuff as reworked, right? And, you know, all these 300-second, 2-minute, 3-minute, 1.5-minute cooldown traits, they do need to be removed. Well, not removed, but they need to be reworked. So they do something else. And hopefully that's something we see maybe in the next patch, which will be coming up who knows when. But regardless, this stuff is good. They're just trying to tone down Prot Hollow a little bit, which is a very, very powerful build to play at a high level in both regions. And I think a lot of players find it a little bit frustrating to play into and super, super difficult to kill, especially in the hands of a strong player. So I think these are some good changes. And hey, guys, did you ever think you would see the day ArenaNet balancing around world versus world? Incredible, my friends. Absolutely incredible. It's happened. There is now a balance meme for world versus world. That's pretty crazy, right? So Bomb Kit was very problematic, actually, in world versus world, because you would just run around auto-attacking and dealing insane DPS, because it turns out a 1.2 power coefficient on an auto attack is very good. Yeah, it turns out that's actually really, really good. So what's happened here is that they nerfed it by a lot, by about 33%, in fact. So yeah, wow. Great change. Really great change there. You know, it's good to see World vs. Sword getting a little bit of love. I think World vs. Sword is actually in a much better state than it used to be. So yeah, great work there by CMC. Got no complaints there at all on that. I think this will make a lot of World vs. World players very happy. There are, of course, a few issues that still need to be addressed in World vs. World, but that is, of course, for another time. And hey, guys, look at this. Here's one of those issues. Permeating Wrath got nerfed in World vs. World. This was, okay, actually, yeah. This was because Burn Guard was super, super strong, right? So very, very, very strong indeed, right? So, yeah, it's a good job. Oh, yeah, it's not even 30%. It's like 25%, isn't it? Yeah, 25%. That's what it is for the Bomb Kit nerf there as well. Like, see, I just got up, guys. It's early in the morning. Can't be crunching these numbers. Anyway, Burn Guard gets a little bit of nerf because it turns out Burn Guard is really, really good in World versus World, and you do insane DPS with Permeating Wrath. Now, will this address Burn Guard? Yeah, no, it won't. Like, one of the really big issues with Burn Guard is the fact that you can hit 5 targets with stuff like the Spirit Weapons, and even the Spinny Trap, or even Test of Faith, right? You can just generate so many hits using this stuff, or even Reflect as well, like Reflect, etc., etc., etc. It's going to be so insane still. I mean, Permeating Wrath, obviously this is a very powerful part of the build, but it's not the only part of the build that's problematic, but it's certainly a start in addressing some of this stuff as well. So yeah, it's good to see World vs. World getting a little bit of love. In general, I think they know that what this shows is that they know the issues. They have an understanding of what's going wrong. And although that, yeah, not everything's going to get fixed here, I think that's because I think CMC wants to do more fundamental mechanical changes, and I don't think he's able to do that in kind of like a, hey, surprise patch that we see what we see now, right? We didn't even get a blog post discussing this, right? This was like a, yeah, get it in, let's ship it, let's go. So stay tuned for some World vs. World stuff, I'd say. Yeah, and hey, they didn't nerf it in PvP. Nice. That's big. And then a Necromancer here as well. So, Death Shroud. This is basically, they've just nerfed the sustain and the res power a little bit. So, Death Shroud, life force per second drain, up by 33% from 3 to 4% in PvP. Ritual of Life res from 4 to 1% in PvP. Fear of Death, which is the whenever you fear someone, you gain life force. So 15, halving that down to 7%. And then Unholy Sanctuary. Oh, this trait is a lot of fun, dude. This is a real degen trait. Increases the cooldown from 30 seconds to 120 seconds in PvP only. Wow. This is actually surprisingly brutal, I think. Like the res trait, ow. Yeah, that is not very good anymore, to be honest. I mean, would you take that? Maybe. I mean, I think Blood Bond is more attractive than it used to be now. Like, Blood Bond can definitely help you out. Do you still take blood? Yeah, you do, because Unholy Martyr is really, really good. So you're still going to take blood. But yeah, the res trait has been thrown in the trash like it deserves. Ritual of Life getting nerfed significantly there. And I think this change here, guys, is a subtle one, but don't ignore it, right? Increasing the amount of life force you lose by 1% per second, that's actually going to add up, right? Because a lot of the time Necros can stay in Shroud for a long time, and that will address that a little bit. You are essentially losing 1% of your HP every second while in Shroud now, more than you used to be. So this is a subtle change, but don't ignore it. Like, I think the sustain of these Necromancer builds is now more in line with where it should be, especially combined with Fear of Death. Because this is kind of a fun fact about this trait, guys. With Fear of Death, if you fear someone in Shroud, it will fill up your Shroud, right? Okay? That's how this trait works. So if you're a Reaper, right, and you explode your Fear Shield, you gain that life force while in Shroud. It essentially allows you to get more Shroud while in Shroud, right? And you could do that in base Necro as well, right, with your third skill, the Fear, right? So this is actually this is a big nerf on Fear of Death, because you can't build your life force as quickly, and you can't sustain it as quickly, too, right? So this is actually a big nerf to Necro sustain. And of course, they top it off with the Unholy Sanctuary nerf. Now, Unholy Sanctuary, what this basically does is it auto-procs Shroud for you. Basically, it will like, oh, if you're about to get taken out, boom, auto-procs you in, and prevents you from dying. And it's actually kind of a fun roleplay trait. I don't mind it, but it is very annoying to play against. Oh my goodness. Yeah, get the Necro! He's on 10%! We're gonna nuke him! We're taking him down! And then, oh. He's got full Shroud, right? Yeah, it's not super fun to play against. You know, I'll certainly say that. So increasing the passive cooldown there is certainly a welcome change, I think, and quadrupling it. Oof, ow. Because you would often see this go off multiple times in a fight. Now you'll only see it go off one time in a fight, really. That's a big deal, because this bypasses your Shroud cooldown, right? Like when you leave Shroud, you got to wait 10 seconds. This would bypass that, so it'll go like, oh yeah, even if your Shroud's on cooldown, boom, we're still getting you in there and saving you. So this is actually a pretty big change. The passive component is still there, which is something. It is absolutely something still. So yeah, bear that in mind. You're still going to be resustaining while you're in Shroud as well. You gain life while you're inside Unholy Sanctuary, but I don't think that was ever necessarily like a big part of, like the reason there. A really big thing here was that it simply allows you to, boom, get saved, and then kind of re-heal with Lifesteal and the Unholy Sanctuary passive. So yeah, I like these changes to Necro, to be honest. I don't think this will kill Necro, so green class players, put down your world's smallest violin, okay? Right, this isn't going to kill it. It's still going to be pretty much fine, I think, but if anything, this is kind of targeting the death magic build more than the actual core Necromancer. Core Necromancer is still going to be super strong, but I think you might see Necromancers move away from Ritual of Life and go over to Blood Bond now for some additional lifesteal sustain. I mean, maybe they still see play, but to be honest, I don't think 1% is super great. In terms of res speed, I mean, it will give you like an extra 5% over 5 seconds on the res, which I don't know, maybe that's good, but it's nowhere near as good as 20%, right? It's going to be a bit of a meme. So, Maul, Swoop, Counterattack, Hilt Bash, right? So the entire Greatsword kit, the cooldown has been increased across the board by 33% on Maul, a little bit on Swoop. What is that? That's more like 20% on Swoop. Counterattack, again, is 20%. Hilt Bash is 25%. So yeah, they're increasing this because the Greatsword kit, it turns out this was actually insanely good. So it's not really a surprise that this stuff got touched there as well. Like, it had a really strong damage output in addition to awesome mitigation using the block. The block on the Grazer, which was incredibly good, and good mobility with the swoop as well, and with the CC on Hilt Bash. And Hilt Bash has the interaction where it actually resets the cooldown on Maul as well. So you have to also keep that in your consideration, right? These two skills have that synergy that allows you to line this stuff up. So yeah, some kind of well-deserved nerfs there, to be honest, on Greatsword. But honestly, oh, hang on, there we go. Yep, the text is slightly out of position there. But I think this one is very significant too. Attack of Opportunity. This trait was absolutely disgusting. Oh my god. So, Attack of Opportunity basically meant that after you CC'd someone, like, your next damage would... the next damage would be up by, like, 50%, right? Which, obviously, that's quite good, right? That's quite a lot of damage. So, down to 25%, that's a little bit more sane. Okay, a little bit more sane. Good stuff there, my friends. Good stuff indeed. And then they nerfed the Tiger and the Rock Gazelle too, nerfing the power damage. Because the Tiger, dude, the bloody thing would like get you for like 5k. Something like that. Absolutely insane. Now, birds have got away with it, but like I said, we'll probably see some more changes too. And the Tiger is one of the more egregious ones, right? Where the Tiger would like claw you and like destroy you. In general, I think pet damage, it's probably a bit better now, but I don't know, like a lot of even like stuff like the auto attacks are still super strong on these pets actually, so that might need to get looked at too. But we will see. A Ranger, a class that hasn't been meta in tournaments and high plat play for a very long time, has been nerfed more than anyone in the past few months. Ain't it worthy of no respect for this trash? Spud Beastie, I have amazing news for you. Okay, Ranger is meta right now. Well, it was, at least before this. We'll have to see how it turns out. But, yeah, Ranger was played by a lot of high-level teams, actually. And in Ranked, it's really good. It's, like, super, super good. So, good news, I guess. But also, a lot of Ranger builds have been played in monthly automated tournaments. And people have even won monthly automated tournaments with Ranger, dude. Yeah, exactly. With the Boon Beast as well, like a while ago. So yeah, like Spudbeat, like, I'm really sorry, man, but you're under a misapprehension there. Like Ranger is actually still probably pretty damn strong, to be honest. Like losing Knight Amulet and Cavalier Amulet, that's going to be a pain actually. But you still have Paladin for that kind of 1v1 duelist build. And to be honest, I think all of this combined is definitely going to tone this down in an appropriate way, because it wasn't just the block up time and the mobility and the evasion on Ranger. It was also the fact that you were running around with 2.5k toughness. Right? And that's pretty good. Right? That was it too. And I think maybe some of the utility skills on Ranger might end up getting a few tweaks. Like so, some of the, because you run like a whole bunch of stun breaks. You've got some extra barrier on there, and a lot of evasion too on Ranger. I wouldn't be surprised to see that get adjusted in an upcoming patch. Looking at stuff like lightning reflexes, right? That might get addressed. But in general, I think this actually puts Ranger in a much better spot, a significantly better spot, and a good kind of base point to jump off of into the next patch for sure. But yeah, it's good. It is good stuff. 3-star makes the stability from really, yeah, like Ranger has a lot of slipperiness. It's very slippery compared to a lot of other classes, right? Which is, I think, is one of the main reasons. But you have to bear in mind, right? These changes are not in a vacuum. All the stuff there you see in the Ranger section is not in a vacuum. If I duck my head, you can see that one of the amulets that build would use are now gone. Right, okay? So you aren't going to have your 2.5k toughness Ranger. You're going to be significantly lower with a Paladin amulet instead, right? And that is definitely worth considering, which is why I think they didn't go too ham on the Ranger abilities themselves, because they knew that they would be damaging the build inherently by removing the amulets. Okay, so definitely wait to see how this one develops, but I think they've done a good job here. These are some good changes, and that will... I don't think that's going to kill Ranger. I think it's going to maybe bring it more in line. Also, bear in mind, guys, they nerfed Prot Hollow as well, right? Which is kind of the other arch side noder, right? As well, right? With Prot Hollow. So, it's not just Ranger getting hit. It's also the other superpowered side noder of the Prot Hollow, right? Okay, so bear that in mind. So, Thief, there are final balance change here. Choking Gas... Initiative up from 6 to 7. This is like the most expensive Thief skill out there. 7 initiative. So you start... Wait. Oh my god. That means you have... If you don't have Trickery, Choking Gas is 70% of your initiative. Oof. Oof, indeed. And then if you do have trickery, it's half your initiative. Oh, that is an expensive ability. My goodness. Wow. I think, yeah, this ability probably needs to be reverted back to its original functionality. Like, so in other words, you have to like double cast it to like stack up the poison to proc the daze instead of its current one. Maybe they thought the previous one was a bit janky, but I just thought the roleplay was really good. I think they did a great job. But yeah, there you go. They're in semi. Yeah, they got to the semis. Yeah, Linko. Yeah. So yeah, choking gas. This one. This ability is super strong, so I don't disagree that it needs to be adjusted, right? 100%. But I think this is maybe the wrong direction to go about it. But seeing as this is like a numbers change, a numbers patch, I don't think it's necessarily a problem right now. Like, they can still tweak it later on and maybe change the functionality and then reduce the initial cost back down. So I think it is okay. Knight's Amulet, Cavalier Amulet, Barbarian Amulet, and Paladin Amulet have all been nerfed or removed. And Knight Amulet was used on the Ranger build, I believe. And here's the thing. 1.2k toughness is a hell of a lot. I mean, guys, if you have 1.2k extra toughness in PvE, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of toughness right there. And removing that is honestly probably a good call. Like, maybe that was a little bit too strong because it makes you insanely durable. I think you will see these maybe reintroduced after some more changes have come through. I think this is more like, okay, we need to do something about this quickly. Let's remove all the really, really tanky amulets right out of the mix there. Barbarian Amulet didn't really see play. This one's just kind of going because it kind of fits the pattern. Barbarian is like plus vitality. It's got like mega vitality. It's like 1,200 vitality or something like that. So you have huge HP on that one, I believe. And Cavalier is kind of like the no precision version of Knight. So Knight is like plus toughness, plus power, plus precision. Cavalier is plus toughness, plus power, plus ferocity, right? And these two saw play on the Ranger build, right? This was there was, I think some people thought Cavalier was better, some people thought Knights was better. So yeah, there was, yeah, and on a lot of bunker builds, you would run Knights, Cavalier, and of course Paladin is kind of the happy mid-ground, a slightly less tanky amulet, but it gives you vitality and toughness, and on top of that, it also has decent offensive stats, and we now see that the vitality and toughness is down by 100. That's a significant change too. That's 1,000 HP lost and 100 toughness, which is basically like almost like losing a rune. Like, it's kind of like you've been de-runed, and that's certainly a significant change. They're very, very spicy indeed, and that's going to speed the game up a fair bit. I think it will help classes actually get some good plussing going on there as well, and getting some fat kills. Although I'll tell you what, you know what we saw a lot of in the monthly AT, guys? We saw a lot of Condi Thief. And that has not been addressed here at all, really. I mean, the only thing that happened to Thief was choking gas, which, I don't know, it probably has it coming, to be fair. This is an incredibly strong ability, but I think this is kind of one of those things that maybe they should consider reverting the old functionality, to be honest, because I think one of the big issues with choking gas is that it's a bam, instant AoE days, right? And so maybe it's like the functionality is maybe not quite right with how it's working. And actually, the last functionality of choking gas was like really nice roleplay too, so that could have been good. But yeah, there you go. Maybe the devs enjoy good choking. Maybe they did. Maybe they fucking do. And there you go. That concludes the balance changes. Overall, I think this stuff is really, really good. Definitely good stuff. And a good warm-up, right? A good warm-up for the for the next one, when CMC, guys, this was just the calm before the storm, okay? This was CMC coming in and smoothing out the pool with all the ripples before he drops a fucking rock in it, right? Okay, that's what this was. I'm ready for the energy, dude, okay? Big energy.